Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Survivor 44, Episode 2. We were just off trying to, practice all the various things for different immunity challenges coming up, making sure that our focus is there for when we go and play Survivor. By the way, does anyone else kind of not like that? Maybe this is a really hot take, but I kind of wish they would have some new challenges so that people can't just study them all ahead of time.
I agree. I don't think anybody watching the show tonight was surprised that Matthew's been practicing, that Carson's been
Yeah,
practicing, that they need to find a way to change it up. It's sort of the same thing with Big Brother. I mean, they every season they're like, "Oh, it's BB Comics. Oh, it's OTEP." You know what's coming up with the same challenges over and over again, and just change it up a little bit. Don't let people have that advantage. I didn't like it, but
yeah. I mean, maybe this is a hot take for us. Maybe you guys disagree. I mean, let us know. Rest assured, this will not be the only hot take that
It feels
emerges.
like pre-gaming. I know
Oh
it's
yeah,
not, but it's just like I know everybody has the same advantage. They
yeah.
can all try to practice these challenges beforehand, but not everybody has the time or the money or the space to be able to do something like that.
Here's the fun, really hypocritical part about all this for me is that if I was playing Survivor and I, had the resources and the 3D printer that Carson did, I would do the same exact thing. And here I am, like yapping all against it. But you know what? We'll talk about the blind. Well, I don't know if it's a blind side or not, but we'll talk about what happened with the
I'm
vote.
sure it was for Helen.
Yeah, I am going to extol my just praise upon praise of Carolyn as a Survivor personality. There's a lot to get into here, but if you guys are digging this discussion, share it around. Let other people know that we are here. We are back doing Survivor. We love talking to you guys in the comments. So, spread it out and share it on your social media channels, anywhere else that you visit to talk about the show.
Also, follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. We have a whole bunch of new pictures up there. If you want to sort of see what we're doing away from the channel, that's a great place to keep up with us. Okay, you brought up Carolyn.
Yeah.
Carolyn is winning the show. I'm
Oh,
on that hill right here. And it was completely sold to me in this episode just how smart she is, how perceptive she is, and how she can read people like a book. I mean, her analysis of Carson and how he was sort of playing everybody, and she's just like, why would you be over here with me? I see how close you are to other people. Like, this isn't making any sense. She reads people so well. I know they were kind of like, oh, she's so wild. She can't keep a secret. Here she is with the idol. She's been able to just do sort of keep it to herself and not use it. I mean, the biggest advantage she has is that everybody kind of thinks she's like, oh, she's this oddball. She's so quirky. She's not a threat.
yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's going to end up getting her to the end. Now, the thing, once she gets to the end, is she's got to have a really good sort of speech of like why she wasn't just sort of like, oh, it's Carolyn, I just sort of got brought here, that she's not getting brought there. She is playing, and that she's actually going to be able to talk through how she's playing, that she got this early idol, that she's been able to make really strong connections and have people that will work with her. I mean, she's playing a great game,
I haven't even.
and she's just likable.
Oh, I love Carolyn. I haven't even gotten to the point where I even have a good winner's like idea or
I didn't in the premiere, but after this, I was just like, no one's going to suspect her, and she's just gonna blast her way to
no.
the end.
It's a good call. And let me say this: if Carolyn is the winner of Survivor 44, I will be dancing with just happy because I love Carolyn so much as entertainment. Like she is obviously way smarter and I think way shrewder than she's letting on to a lot of her. But just like her sort of kooky personality is just like so out there, and I like that she is sort of as emotional as she comes across because it's
Mhm.
like I don't necessarily need to watch everybody be a game bot on Survivor all the time. It's like Tony, one of the greatest Survivor. Tony's just like, blah, and he's just like running all over. But I like it when people are a little bit weird and
Yeah.
odd.
No, I agree. And this season has a lot of sort of oddball characters where it feels like I'm watching
Yeah,
like a really genuine cast. And, it's always nice to see the people like Matthew or Carson who are like, oh man, I'm
Yeah.
such a fan. I practiced at home, whatever. But it's also nice to see people who are fans that are just a little bit kind of like me, odd. And I really like that. It makes me feel like I'm making a better connection with the people on this cast than I have in the past.
Hot take time.
Oh.
They should have gotten rid of Carson. I'm gonna say that right here, right now. This is the thing. I like
Carson's
Carson.
going to be gone.
He's,
No, I think he's playing too hard. He's playing too many sides. He's going to go. Carolyn's already on to him. It's episode 2.
It's true. It's true. It's just like if I was playing Survivor with him, and I don't mean this as any offense to you, Carson, because we are the same. I would just look at you and be like, okay, you know too much. You're gonna be gone from. I don't care what you go on there and say that. Oh, I'm a fan. I didn't really do a lot of preparation. I would not believe this guy for 1 second. I take one. He's obviously a huge fan of the show. He's obviously going to be a threat later on. I would have just taken the opportunity. Everybody else just band together. Doesn't matter if you're not even really playing with each other at this point. Like just get rid of the swing vote. You can figure out everything else later. But that's like if I'm in the game. I mean, Helen outside the game, no offense to Helen. I think Carson is a more compelling character. I'm glad Carson ended up staying over her in this instance.
For sure, but I think long-term Carson made a mistake getting rid of Helen. I do. I think that Carolyn's on to him, and she's matched up with Yam Yam, and them together, and with how perceptive she is and being able to read Carson as fast as she was able to read him, he's just gonna get played out.
I love Yam Yam too. Can we have Carolyn
so
and Yam Yam in the final 2, like final 3 together? This is the funniest thing about it too, is that I think one of the things that was probably going into Carson's head was it's like, okay, you know what? Carolyn's not that big a threat, maybe
Yes.
but she also doesn't really. Nobody knows about the idol. Like this is my favorite part of this entire episode by far is Carolyn just doing this complete haphazard job of like finding the idol, running back, trying to fix the bird cage, which by the way, I'm in on the bird cage now. I found it hilarious. I enjoyed this so much more than like some of the other ridiculous idol nonsense they've done these past couple of seasons. But like just they were all doing the Spider-Man pointing meme at each other. It's like nobody thought Carolyn had it. And I was just like, you guys were all together. Like, when was the last time you went and checked this cage? It must have been some time ago if you thought that Helen, for example, went and found it, and then it's like she didn't tie it up together, then she went off with you guys.
And that's why Carolyn's going to win the game, because you've got 4 people that are all with each other.
Yeah.
And Carolyn, who's not, and they're all just like, it's all of us here. Everybody empty your bag. Oh man, Carolyn's going to be so surprised when she finds out. I was just like, what is happening here? Like, Carolyn is a really smart person. I know that, like, her being really kind of kooky and stuff like that is obviously throwing them off, but just look at the numbers. We're all together. Carolyn's not. Carolyn has it. How is this happening? It's so fascinating to watch how those 4 like spiraled out like that, and nobody thought Carolyn had it.
I loved Carson's confessional about, I read all these books. I know how to read people now, because it's like, here's another hot take. Before you go on Survivor, don't do any reading. Like, who cares? Like, just because some like FBI specialist says this is how you study human behavior. I mean, occasionally, sure, that can work, but there's just something to be said sometimes for trusting your gut. And, I mean, I'm not trying to hate on you, Carson. I mean, good for you. You got to be at NASA. You're like living every nerd's dream already, but it's just, I think there's such a thing as over preparing, and I think there's something to be said for just sort of being in the moment. But you know what? If he thought Helen's vibes are off, or Sarah's, or whoever else's vibes are off, you go with that. But more credit goes to Carolyn then for being able to cover it up effectively.
Well, yeah, I think that's the thing, is that even when everybody found the cage and they're like, oh, look, the bag is open. Hey, Carolyn, look over here. That her sort of just acting strange was just like, well, that's Carolyn. That's just normal. That even her being so anxious about having the idol on her, that it doesn't make it any different than how she is normally. So everybody's just like, it's not her.
Good on you, Carolyn.
Beautiful.
Yeah, knew how all this was gonna. I never imagined going into this season that we would be like so pro Carolyn, and then also wanting to get rid of Carson and questioning his research strategy. But
I don't
here we are.
know. I wasn't that hot on Carson at the beginning, and he's fine. It's
Yeah,
just I feel like I've sort of seen this character on
yeah,
the show before, and now that we have so many, like, it feels like really genuine oddball people on the show. It's like normally, yeah, I would root for sort of the nerdy, well
yeah,
prepared girl or guy or whoever. But this season, it's just like you got Carolyn, you got Yam Yam, you got all these like really fun people that I'm just like, no, I'm just all, we haven't even talked about Matt yet. He's like, oh, me, I've lost both of my votes, but Frannie's here. Everything is great. He's such an oddball. And so is she.
Okay, see, there's a part of Matthew that's like a country song where he's just like, I lost both my votes, I lost my dog, I lost my girl, and then it's like all of a sudden it turns around because it was like here's the funniest thing about all this is that every bone in my body is like, you need to root against this because you hate showmances. Showmances drive you crazy. I mean, especially on Big Brother, but it's just like, how can you not watch these two and be like, you guys are so sweet. Can I plan your wedding? What's your first dance? I really root for them. It's like, yeah, they're making an enormous target of themselves, and they will probably be in danger were it not for the fact that I've got some ridiculous takes on this Soka Green tribe, by the way. But you guys aren't going to be going to tribal council until like the merge anyway, so you guys are gonna be fine.
No, my Soka tribe, you guys are doing so well. I mean, like it's gonna be all good for them until they have to go to tribal. I mean, if I was on that tribe and I saw these two
Yeah,
together, they got to get split up.
yeah. Can I introduce a new nickname now? Firefighter Danny, I am going to call you Merge Boot Danny because this is what you are going to be. You are obviously stronger, faster, harder working than anybody else on your tribe. You're like out there like looking for this idol. All the kudos to you. You found it. The only thing you may have going for you, Merge Boot Danny, is that you are so obviously the Merge Boot because
Oh, for sure.
you are such an enormous target that you're gonna get to the merge and you're gonna like, if I was these people, I would get rid of me too. I am a fireman, so I've got a great story. I will win all of the challenges. I'm going to play this idol and then I'm going to win every immunity challenge the rest of the way because that is my only hope.
Yeah, that is his only hope. It really is.
So yeah, it's like that's the weird thing about the Soka tribe is that really there's only like 3 main characters at the moment. There's the showmance and then there's Merge Boot Danny and then that is basically it.
Pretty much.
Okay, well, quickly here, let's thumbs up or thumbs down on Matthew being like, I use my shot in the dark so that it's strategy, so no one really knows where my vote lies.
I could see that being more effective a little bit later on. I mean, it's so early. Like nobody really knows each other that well. Like
Yeah,
there's probably obviously some loose like, yeah, let's, well, put our hands in, we're together
yeah.
kind of thing. But I mean, it's so early on that those things can and do change. So, I mean, yeah, I don't want to throw my vote out there. I mean, it did end up working out. I mean, Kane is like, we slid head first under the bus here by everybody. But I mean, it's so early.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake too. Like I just think it's a situation where you're going to be getting a little bit later on in the game and everybody's going to be starting to be like, well, there wasn't that much talk around Matthew being voted out at that first tribal. Why did he play that shot in the dark? He clearly cares more about himself than he does anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I think that it really did, and he didn't mention it, is I think that's how it flushed out that idol because I think Jamie playing her shot in the dark, she had already been talking about it before she went. I think Brenda was going to hold on to that. And then Matthew was like, and me too. And then I think Brandon was like, oh, and me too. And that's what I think the actual, win of that whole thing was. And the fact that now Kane is like, well, I guess I'm exposed.
I really like this season so far. I feel like,
I really like this
yeah,
season. This cast is fantastic.
the cast is. Probst felt like he wasn't even in this episode, which, no offense to
Yeah.
Probst, it's kind of a good thing when you're not really involved in the show that much.
Okay, we haven't even talked about this, like, immunity idol, shield and sword thing. Like, what is going on with this thing? I saw it in the premiere and I was just like, this is bad Dungeons and Dragons going on here. It's just, I don't know. What do you
I
guys think about it? It was odd when I first saw it.
People would vote me out over this because this is what would happen. He would give me the sword and I would go full like Ren Fair. I would like hoist it up in the air and I would be like, "It is I, Sir Immunity, here to conquer the
Oh
challenge."
man, you're not even making it to the merge.
No, I'm not. I'm getting it's this is one of the most ridiculous. Just like it's dumb, but it's also kind of like dumb funny. It reminds me.
It's so weird.
This-
Like, I am totally that nerd. I love Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I love any sort of adventure game, playing Elden Ring right now, anything that's sort of down that hole. But this is not doing it for me.
it's sort of like they got rid of the fire tokens, but they were just like, we have to keep a soul of the ridiculousness of the fire tokens and like transport it somewhere else. Here you go. Here's the sword and the shield.
All right.
Okay, well, we'll be back to talk more about this crazy, ridiculous season. But yeah, share this video out, social media, anywhere else you are. If you are enjoying this, follow us on Instagram at Matt and Jess TV, and we'll see you here next time.